Okay, we're out at the field. As you see, I've already set up my cones. I've got 2 blues, or purple, marking at the 2 different color ones. And then I've got 10 feet back, 10 feet back, and then the middle one is midway in between both of them. The general idea behind this is defensive back defense of just basic running. It's like a wide receiver will run routes, you know, and they run a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, 6, and they run theirs, or they go over the tree, however they wish to run them. But as a DB, you're gonna have to kind of know how to handle those routes. You don't exactly run their route because you want to be able to cut them off. So for instance, the reason why you have both sides, because when you set it up both ways, you can work both sides. You don't have to worry about like setting up, you just pre-set up your cones like this. It looks really funny. It's basically, it looks like the 6 on a domino or die 6, and then 1 in the center. It looks like a 2-story house. So it looks funny, but when I get down to it, you'll see why they're all set up that way. Those first 2 are how you defend. You start backpedaling and the guy comes in front of you, or he starts running a slant, and you want to run forward and cut him off. Again, it's how you work both sides. If you're only a right cornerback, that limits you into the positions you can do. So you want to train both sides so that regardless of what you get put on, or right safety, left safety, field safety, doesn't really matter. Train both sides. Now those 2, we're working on the flat routes. You go back and you cut straight over. You always look forward. Generally you watch your receiver. Where you're watching a receiver is you back up, and then as he makes his break, you find the ball, and you're constantly looking forward. As you saw when I did this, I started it there, I went back, I stopped, I flipped, and I crossed. And that's to take care of your corner and your post routes. So if you happen to be like the inside rolled down safety and your slot receiver is running a corner route, you're basically just doing that side's doing that one, because you're backing up and you're opening hips and you're running with him that way. Whereas with the corner, if they happen to be doing deep cross routes, then you're going back and you're running with the corner, with the post route, and the roll down safety is coming in and going with the corner route. You guys can swap, that's up to your defense. I'm not saying do that or either, you know, because if for some reason your slot receiver isn't nearly as fast and they're doing a cross like that, then you're probably not going to want to switch, but it's a generally good idea. Cover that one with your coach. I bet you're wondering what that last cone is back there for. That's for double moves. Double moves happening in the short area, that's fine. But sometimes they'll happen deep down the field. And you're gonna have to figure out, as I said in the last video, why you need to worry about what the zigzagging in the cones is, because you're either gonna have to baseball or speed turn, or you're gonna have to just open your hip up. I'm much more comfortable opening my hip up as I'm kind of backpedaling and then open up. But sometimes you're gonna get caught off guard and you're gonna have to speed turn. So I'll show you that. So I'm gonna show you those again in slow motion, hopefully. Really trying to slow myself down here. But I have this mode to just go 110% all the time. Shout out to Willie for teaching me, practice how you play. If you practice hard, you'll play hard. But this is educational, and I don't remember that one. So it's back, 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 open. So the reason why I like this setup is because it allows you to hit each angle from each side, and it just takes in your brain. You train both sides so that if you're as a left corner and you're going this way, you're probably running in. Unless you happen to be knocked in towards where the hash is at and the guy is running and he's running an out, that's just from this cone up there and that way. It simplifies the drills without limiting you to either one, and allows you to not mess around with cones so much. Setting up your cones once is good. Now remember, I use these things, I have a size 11.5 shoe, so I was measuring heel to toe, 10 feet between the cones to make squares, and then the diagonal, I went and tried to aim for a point that looked like in between them, but further deep, so about a 45-degree angle. This is a terrible, terrible shot to look at those, but that's how I've set this up. Now you can think, now corner routes run probably 7 to 8, but the general idea is like, you're probably also, if you're in cover 3 and you're defending a corner route or you're in man, you probably aren't in press coverage. You might be a couple yards off the ball as is. Such as like, if the white is the line of scrimmage, you'd be there, that's still relatively press coverage. But you'd probably be a little further back, assuming you were in cover 3. If you're on man, do what you wish. Man is man, that's your guy. If you can mess that guy up with hand jamming and get him off his game, guess what? You don't have to worry about him running a corner route. That's a tip and trick there. Again, as a deep safety, whether you happen to be the strong safety that's at 9 yards or the free safety that's at 12 yards, you're mostly standing still. So a lot of this stuff doesn't really matter, but as a defensive back, you really got to know how to do these things. Because if one of your corners gets a twisted ankle or tries to go up for a ball, lands on his elbow, because he's out, guess what? You may have to take it in because you may be just a really rough and tough strong safety, and so you'll go down and start playing a corner and they'll put in another safety for you who's like, not so good. That's just how the game works. So even though you play safety a lot, do these things as if you were a corner, because they will put you in because it's relatively the same skill set. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm only a wide out. So you're only gonna practice deep routes? Okay, sure. Or in routes, that's all you're gonna practice because you're gonna be way outside, and then boom, they put you in a slot and you're like, I've never practiced running an out route. Same thing. But then again, wide receivers are kind of divas. That's that. Remember, stay tuned for next week. I will bring Willie out here and we'll do more live fire stuff, because there are other routes that aren't necessarily, this is just very, very basics. And you do these, do like each of them maybe 5 times. Right, 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 right. Left, 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 left. And do the same ones. Up and in, up and in, up and in, up and in, up and in. But think of it also maybe as up and out. Because remember, you're just getting both of your sides worked. You're not necessarily practicing necessarily for specific position. But the more you get your body used to going back about 10 feet, opening your hips and running straight down the line, that's why the other cone's there, is to give you 10 feet, make sure you aren't like veering off in one direction. So that's the benefit there. And always follow through. When you get to your destination cone, because you've got your start cone, your break cone, and your finish cone is basically your destination. But just like with the ladder drills, follow through. Get a 5-yard burst out of that, just like I was doing. Up, turn, hit the cone, keep going. Because I guarantee you, unless it's a hook or a core, and no, the receiver's not necessarily stopping. Like again, there are more advanced routes, and we'll talk about that next week with Willie. I'll catch you guys for more skills and drills.